Let me tell you a story about a happily married man whose life was changed by a book about being a pickup artist.
Distinctions for Life, helping you get what you really want in life with small changes that make a big difference.
Welcome to Distinctions for Life, where I help you get what you really want in life with small changes that make a big difference. I'm your host, Ron Davis. If you would like more information or help, visit my website at distinctionsforlife.tv. I was the classic nerd growing up, into solitary pursuits like D&D and computers. Unlucky in love, I had no girlfriends all through high school because of my gawkiness and lack of social skills. But somewhere right at the end of my college years, I met and attracted a beautiful, smart, and kind redhead to be my bride. Fast forward 20 years, and this awkward teenager has 2 kids in high school and a successful career as a computer geek. Then one day, while wandering a bookstore, he comes across a strange, leather-bound book, bound like the Bible, called The Game. This is the actual book. Inside were comic-like pictures, the story of an uber nerd's time learning how to pick up women. And it hooked me, and I had to read it. At some point in the middle of the book, I remember sitting and holding it open in my hand and having an epiphany. You can learn this stuff. You see, all my life, I believed you were born either an introvert or an extrovert, and there was no changing it. You were either good with people or you weren't, and I wasn't. Reading The Game, I watched as Neil went from cringeworthy interactions with members of the opposite sex to a smooth and relaxed ability to open and talk to anyone. I'd been doing personal development a good part of my life at that point. I'd read classics like How to Win Friends and Influence People, but I still held the belief, deep in my mind, that it wasn't something that you could change. And I had proof, because I had read the books, I had listened to the self-help stuff, and still I wasn't good with people. In other words, I thought I had learned this stuff. But in reality, it turns out that you can learn this stuff, but it wasn't going to be easy. Here are some of the things that I learned that you can use to improve your social game. First, you have to do the stuff. Reading The Game or Vanessa Van Edwards' book Captivate isn't going to make you smooth. There is a process for creating a connection with a stranger. The game sections are named after that progression. Select a target, approach and open, demonstrate value, disarm the obstacles, etc. But just knowing those steps won't make you socially smooth. That takes practice. You see, learned social skills are skills and not knowledge. I had an in-depth discussion of this with Aaron Frankel on a live stream if you want to check it out. But the main thing to know is that knowledge can be gained by study. Skills are mastered by practice. Social interaction skills take practice. Going out and approaching groups and trying to start a conversation is how you learn. In The Game, there was a progression that the guys went through as they were learning. They would hate opening. Then they would get comfortable with that, but wouldn't know how to keep the conversation going. So they would have to work on that. Then the next part of the process, and so on. But the only way to get better was to do it over and over again. Once you are doing things on a regular basis, you need to analyze what you did and come up with plans to test next time. The guys in The Game would go to nightclubs and do approaches for hours. And then they would go back to the lair and break down their interactions from the evening with the other guys until early in the morning. Then they would figure out where things went wrong and come up with ideas on how to do it differently next time. Again, it was work. Lastly, to keep moving forward, you have to take responsibility for the outcome of every interaction. It is a common thing for guys when they get shot down to say something like, "Well, she's just a bitch," which in some situations might be true. But normally she's a human being just like any other, and there are lots of reasons for her to shoot you down. Only by asking where in the process did things go wrong and what could you have done differently can you become better. Now, it may seem that all this talk about picking up women is at best crass, or that it isn't relevant to you, especially if you are a woman. But remember, I was a happily married man when I started learning it. And I'm still faithfully married to that beautiful, smart redhead. Because these principles are at the heart of improving all our social interactions. It is the same process to improve your ability at sales or party going. I tell you this story in the hope that you have the same epiphany I did and realize you can learn this stuff. Question of the day. What social skills do you most want to learn? Leave a comment below and I might make a specific video on that topic. Thanks for watching today. If you liked what you saw, give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell and do all the things all the other YouTubers tell you to do. This channel is all about helping you get what you really want in life with small changes that make a big difference. Until next time, I'm Ron Davis. Then one day, when wandering a bookstore, he comes across a strange book, bound in leather like the Bible, called The Game. How high up do I have to get it? And then he comes across